Thank you all for joining us here in Dallas, Texas. Tonight isn't just about the laughs, though you can count on that with Bobby Lee and Jamie Kennedy in the building. This is about facing life with open eyes and a full heart. It's about getting honest with yourself, maybe for the first time in a long time. No one gets a script for how to live, but we all have the chance to rewrite the story we've been living. The first step: own your story before it owns you. You are not the worst chapter in your life, and you're certainly not stuck unless you decide to stay stuck. Laughter can be medicine, but it can also be a mask. We joke, we roast, we deflect, and sometimes that's all we know how to do. But behind every punchline is a punch we never threw. Humor lets us exhale, but healing begins when we inhale the truth. Bobby and Jamie have lived through enough to know that comedy comes from pain, and choosing to laugh instead of breakdown is power. But eventually, you've got to deal with what's underneath. Otherwise, you're laughing on stage and crying behind closed doors. Life will always reflect back to you what you tolerate. That's why it's so important to stop letting people treat you any kind of way. If you let others walk over you, don't be surprised when they bring muddy boots. Every relationship, every job, every opportunity, it mirrors the standard you set for yourself. When you teach people how to treat you, you take your power back. Respect isn't something you ask for once, it's something you demand daily by how you live. Some of you are passing around pain like it's an inheritance. What you don't heal, you hand down. Hurt people, and the cycle repeats until someone chooses to stop it. That someone can be you. When you face your pain and choose transformation over transmission, you become a generational change maker. It's not selfish to heal, it's necessary, because your future and your family's depends on it. Let's also be honest about this constant need for approval. Too many people are living their lives for applause instead of purpose. You'll never be enough for a world that can't love you right, and you'll always feel empty when your worth depends on external noise. It's time to stop performing and start living. Your value isn't in your likes, it's in your life. Don't waste another minute trying to fit in with people you wouldn't even want to become. Every room you walk into is affected by you, whether you mean it to or not. So ask yourself, are you bringing peace or are you reacting to the chaos? Be the thermostat, not the thermometer. Set the tone, lift the energy, ground the people around you. That's not about being perfect. It's about being intentional. Influence isn't about a platform, it's about presence. And the most powerful people are often the quietest ones in the room because they know who they are. And finally, if you are still breathing, you are not finished. I don't care where you've been or what's been done to you. You are not beyond redemption. You are not beyond growth. And if no one's told you lately, you matter. You have purpose. You're here tonight for a reason. So laugh, reflect, get honest, and most importantly decide that the next chapter will be written by the real you. Not the scared you, not the broken you, but the ready you. Thank you, Dallas. Let's keep it honest and let's keep it moving forward. Laughter is a survival tool, not an escape hatch. We all have moments in life where the only thing that keeps us from falling apart is our ability to laugh. But we need to be honest with ourselves about what that laughter is covering up. Too often, we use humor to distract ourselves from the things we don't want to deal with: pain, regret, insecurity, failure. It's easier to joke than it is to dig deep, but healing only happens when you're willing to face what's real. Comedy can crack the surface, but it takes courage to go underneath it. When people like Bobby Lee and Jamie Kennedy step onto a stage, they bring more than just jokes. They bring stories, resilience, and truth wrapped in humor. That's what makes laughter powerful. It's not just a distraction, it's a doorway to understanding, but don't confuse the ability to laugh with the ability to heal. You can be the funniest person in the room and still be carrying deep wounds. That's why self-reflection matters. If you're always laughing things off, you might be leaving something serious buried inside that desperately needs your attention. Many people believe they're strong because they can brush things off with a smile, but strength is found in honesty. You have to be willing to admit what hurts. You have to stop pretending everything's fine when it isn't. There's no prize for suffering in silence, and there's no growth in pretending you don't need help. Everyone is fighting battles, and it's okay to admit when you're tired. It's okay to admit when something's broken. Real strength shows up when you stop hiding behind the laughter and start doing the work to fix what's wrong. Pain that is not addressed doesn't disappear, it multiplies. It spills out in ways you don't even notice into relationships, habits, decisions, and self-worth. You might think you've buried the pain, but it leaks. It seeps into the way you see the world and how you treat the people around you. Humor might help you cope, but it won't cure the wound. That takes time, honesty, and the willingness to sit with discomfort instead of running from it. No amount of comedy can replace the power of personal accountability and healing. It's important to laugh. It's vital to find joy in the chaos of life. But joy and avoidance are not the same thing. If you're constantly deflecting with jokes, you're probably overdue for a moment of silence, reflection, and truth. It's in those quiet, honest moments where real change starts to happen. Laughter might lift your mood, but it's your willingness to confront reality that lifts your life. And the truth is, you're allowed to feel pain, you're allowed to admit you need help, and you're allowed to heal at your own pace. Let tonight be a reminder that your story matters, your feelings matter. Your healing matters. Bobby and Jamie may use laughter to open hearts, but what they've lived through proves that there's always more going on beneath the surface. And that's true for you, too. If you've been using jokes to cover up hurt, take this as a sign that it's time to do something different. You don't have to keep faking your way through the day. There's power in laughter, but there's even greater power in truth. So yes, laugh freely, share your story, lighten the room when you walk in, but don't let the laughter distract you from the work that still needs to be done. You deserve more than just temporary relief. You deserve real peace, and you'll only find that when you give yourself permission to be vulnerable, to be honest, to be more than just the punchline, because you're not a joke, you're a person, and your healing begins the moment you stop running and start owning the truth. You teach people how to treat you by the way you treat yourself. Every single day, through your actions, your boundaries, your words, and even your silence, you are giving others a lesson in how they're allowed to show up in your life. If you constantly put yourself last, overextend, stay silent when disrespected, or make excuses for others' bad behavior, you're not just being nice. You're teaching people that you accept less than you deserve. And once they've learned that lesson, they usually won't unlearn it on their own. It's easy to blame other people when they take advantage of you, ignore your needs, or cross the line. But the hard truth is that you allowed it more than once. That's where the responsibility comes in. Not blame, not shame, but ownership. You can't control someone else's behavior, but you can absolutely control what you allow, what you tolerate, and what you continue to engage in. The sooner you set the tone, the sooner others either rise to it or leave your life, and either outcome is a win. Respect doesn't come from asking for it once, it comes from consistently expecting it. That means you stop over-explaining your worth, you stop begging people to do the bare minimum, you stop shrinking to fit into places that were never designed for you in the first place, you start showing up differently, not just in public, but behind closed doors too. That's when the shift happens. That's when people start treating you differently, not because they've changed, but because you did. People treat you based on the boundaries you enforce, not the ones you talk about. You can say all day that you won't tolerate being ignored, disrespected, or overlooked, but if you keep letting it slide, your words mean nothing. Boundaries are not about punishing people. They're about protecting your peace. And protecting your peace is not selfish. It's the foundation of self-respect. It's what tells the world this is the standard, this is the minimum, anything less has no place here. Many of us were never taught how to set healthy boundaries. We were taught to be agreeable, to avoid conflict, to keep the peace even when it cost us our own. But peace that comes at your expense is not peace. It's quiet suffering, and eventually that quiet turns into resentment, burnout, and disconnection. That's why this isn't just about getting respect from others. It's about learning how to respect yourself enough to walk away from what doesn't serve you. When you truly understand your value, you stop trying to convince people to see it. You stop chasing love, approval, and belonging. You realize that the people who are meant for you will meet you at your level, not require you to lower yourself. And the ones who leave when you raise your standards, let them go, because they were never going to honor you in the way you deserve anyway. Your life is not a place for visitors. It's a place for people who are willing to contribute, respect, and grow with you. So the next time you wonder why someone keeps treating you a certain way, look in the mirror and ask yourself, what have I been teaching them? And if you don't like the answer, it's not too late to change the lesson. Start today, speak up, stand firm, show them, and more importantly, show yourself, that from now on the standard has changed, and anyone who wants a place in your life has to meet it. Pain that is not transformed will always be transmitted. It doesn't just vanish because we ignore it or pretend it never happened. When you don't deal with your pain, you end up passing it on to the people around you, your partner, your children, your friends, even strangers. The unhealed parts of yourself will always find a way to surface, often in the most unexpected and harmful ways. It's not because you're broken beyond repair. It's because pain demands attention, and if you won't face it directly, it will find another route. You might not realize it, but unresolved pain leaks out in subtle behaviors. It shows up in how you react to stress, how easily you lose your temper, how quick you are to assume the worst, how hard it is for you to trust or feel safe. These patterns aren't random. They're protective responses you developed in moments of hurt. But what once protected you may now be limiting you. You can't build a healthy life on the foundation of unprocessed hurt. At some point, survival instincts have to give way to real healing. Some people carry their pain like armor, believing it makes them strong. They think if they stay guarded, no one can hurt them again. But that same armor keeps out love, joy, connection, and intimacy. Pain that hasn't been transformed makes us reactive, suspicious, bitter, and closed off. And while you might think you're keeping others safe from your worst, what you're really doing is keeping yourself isolated from your best. The longer you avoid the work, the more your pain shapes your identity. Transformation begins the moment you choose to confront what's hurting you instead of hiding it. That doesn't mean broadcasting your wounds to the world or expecting others to fix you. It means creating a safe space within yourself to explore the pain, to grieve, to understand where it came from, and to begin releasing it. Healing isn't about pretending it never happened. It's about learning how to carry the memory without reliving the trauma. It's about writing a new ending to an old story. You may have been hurt by people who are carrying their own untransformed pain. You may be living with scars from someone else's avoidance, their rage, their neglect. That's how pain spreads from one generation to the next, from one relationship to another, unless someone breaks the cycle. And breaking the cycle doesn't require perfection. It requires awareness, willingness, and the courage to choose differently. To feel what's uncomfortable, to admit what's true, to release what no longer serves you. This isn't easy work. It's heavy, it's slow. Sometimes it feels like nothing is changing, but healing is not a loud process. It's not dramatic. Often, it's the quiet choice you make each day not to react the same way, not to carry old resentment into new situations, not to let your past dictate your future. Every time you respond with patience instead of anger, with understanding instead of defensiveness, with honesty instead of shame, that's transformation, and every small shift matters. You are not responsible for the pain that was given to you, but you are responsible for what you do with it now. Will you let it poison your relationships, your dreams, your peace of mind, or will you face it head on and choose to turn it into wisdom, into boundaries, into compassion? The world doesn't need more people hiding behind their pain. It needs more people who have walked through it and come out stronger, softer, and more self-aware. Your pain does not have to be your legacy. Your healing can be. Quit auditioning for approval in a world that can't love you right. You were not born to earn your worth through likes, attention, or applause. Yet so many people spend their lives performing for others, hoping that if they say the right things, wear the right mask, and play the right part, they'll finally be accepted. The truth is, if love or respect has to be earned through performance, it's not real. It's conditional, fragile, and fake. Real belonging never requires you to shrink, hide, or pretend. Somewhere along the line, many of us got the message that who we are isn't enough. Maybe it came from parents who withheld affection unless we achieved something. Maybe it came from peers who mocked us for being different. Or maybe it came from social media, where popularity is measured in numbers and attention spans are short. But approval that's rooted in performance only lasts as long as the act continues. The second you change, grow, or show your true self, that applause often disappears. You'll exhaust yourself trying to be what everyone else wants you to be. You'll end up disconnected from your own desires, unsure of who you are underneath all the roles you've played. That kind of life isn't fulfilling. It's suffocating. You were not made to live according to someone else's expectations. You were made to stand firmly in your own identity, even if it means some people don't understand you. Approval that requires self-abandonment is a price too high to pay. There's a difference between being liked and being loved. Liking is often surface level. It's based on how well you fit into someone's idea of what's comfortable. Love, though, sees you, flaws and all, and still chooses you. When you stop performing and start being, the people who truly love you will stay, and the ones who were only there for the act will leave. Let them. That's how you make room for authentic connection, the kind that lasts beyond trends, moods, or status. When you constantly seek validation from the outside, you become dependent on people's moods and opinions. You hand over your power every time you let someone else's approval dictate your self-worth. You have to get to a point where your value is not up for debate. It doesn't rise and fall with who compliments you or who ignores you. The truth is, some people are never going to see your light, no matter how brightly you shine, and that has everything to do with them, not you. The moment you stop auditioning, your real life begins. You start making decisions based on your truth, not someone else's reaction. You wear what you want, say what you mean, go where you feel called, and in doing so, you find freedom. Not the temporary rush that comes with attention, but the deep, quiet freedom of knowing you're being honest. That's the kind of peace that can't be taken away, because it doesn't depend on anyone else. You don't need to earn space in this world. You already belong. Your voice matters even if it's not loud. Your presence matters even if it's not perfect. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. Stop auditioning, start living, because the world doesn't need another copy. It needs the real, unfiltered, unapologetic you. That's where your power is. That's where your purpose lies. Being a thermostat means you set the tone, not just reflect it. Too often, people go through life as thermometers, constantly reacting to whatever environment they're in. If things around them are negative, they become negative. If someone lashes out, they lash back. If the room is full of stress, they absorb it like a sponge, but a thermostat doesn't absorb the temperature, it changes it, it decides what the atmosphere will be, it influences instead of being influenced. That is a power most people don't realize they have. It's easy to be reactive. It takes no strength to match energy with energy, especially when it's toxic. What takes strength is being able to stay grounded when everything around you feels chaotic, to remain calm when others are panicking, to lead with kindness in the face of disrespect. Being a thermostat means showing up with purpose, not impulse. It means you walk into a room and bring intention with you, not just emotion. That's the kind of person others start to lean on, not because you're perfect, but because you're steady. Some people pride themselves on being able to mirror whatever's going on around them. They think blending in is a strength. But blending in doesn't change anything. It just continues the cycle. If everyone's negative and you join in, you've added nothing new. You've just multiplied the problem. But when you decide to raise the temperature, to bring hope, peace, or accountability, you shift the entire dynamic. And sometimes that silent shift speaks louder than any argument ever could. We're living in a world that's quick to react. Social media, workplace drama, personal relationships, it all moves fast, and people are quick to respond without thinking. But being a thermostat means slowing down and deciding who you want to be in any given situation. You ask yourself, what energy am I bringing into this moment, not what energy am I getting from it? That kind of awareness makes all the difference. It puts you in control of your actions instead of your surroundings being in control of you. People who are thermostats don't need attention to lead. Their influence comes from consistency, not volume. They don't try to dominate, they guide. They don't need to control people, they control themselves, and when things get tense or uncertain, they're the ones others look to, even if no one says it out loud. You don't have to be the loudest person in the room to make an impact. Often, it's the quietest one who holds the most authority because they've learned how to master themselves.